Absolute delight now to have the coach of the footy club up here in the TT studio, Greeners. It's great to be back. Dimmer, thanks so much for popping up today, and I do love that choice of song.
Yeah, so do I. Greener's not too happy about it. His hand straight to the forehead, but
could have been worse.
One of my favourites growing up. That whole album, Appetite for Destruction, was incredible. So. Pleasure to have it on. It's my pick-me-up song as well. So I've had a bad day or we've had a bad loss, it's straight on the Spotify.
Now, you didn't get out to Calder Park back in the day. Remember they played out there?
No, I didn't. I love music, but I'm not a great concert goer.
Me too.
Yeah.
We know that, Greeners. You just don't like people.
Don't like them at all.
I don't like to be seen doing a jig, I think, at any stage. That's the other thing. I've got to move.
Well, very good choice, Dimmer. Thanks for coming up today. Mate, what's it actually been like this pre-season to actually have some time to really get stuck into a pre-season after 2 or 3 really short ones in a row?
Yeah, it's amazing how you sort of look into it, and pre-season's a really enjoyable time because you get to see some things that you're working on, and there's obviously some things from last year that we didn't do that well that we need to improve, and it's just great. You sort of get to reconnect with the players for a longer period of time. You know, look at the last couple of years, we've been into it pretty quickly, and especially last year with the late season finish. So, look, it's been great. We've spent some quality time with the players. We've got a lot of training minutes in, which is really important, and more importantly, some development into our younger players that have really missed that over the last couple of years.
What's the focus been, Dimmer, in terms of improvement?
Look, our fundamentals let us down, badly last year. One of the things we've been very good at is our pressure and contested ball game to a degree. There's the value of contested ball we rate a little bit differently than other sides with our post-clearance contested ball, and those are the 2 areas that we've been predominantly strong in our premiership years, but last year we fell away terribly in both, so we put a lot of work into those this year, and hopefully we're seeing the dividends of our hard work in the couple of AAMI Cup games that we've had thus far, which we're reasonably happy with. As a coach, you can always find areas to improve, and we're ready to go for round 1.
Dimmer, from a game style perspective, you see the intra-club and then the 2 AAMI Community Series games. There's been a different shift in the way we want to move the ball, more by foot, especially from the back half through between the arcs. Is that something we've focused on this pre-season?
Yeah, a little bit. What most sides are doing now, it's sort of gone from a little bit from a press-up front half game. It's gone to a combination of press up and fold back. Yeah. So there's going to be tides. Melbourne were elite at it last year with getting numbers behind the ball. They press up really well in the front half, but then they fold back really heavily. And so we put a bit of work into that. And you'll see some, when we attack fast, we look good, but we've also added some gears to our play with some slow attack stuff as well.
Is that with the man on the mark stuff, Dimmer? Over the last 12 months, teams have had to fold back a little bit more just because you can't hold them up on the mark. Is that a result of that?
Yeah, it is. And once you change one thing, there's a consequence of doing that. And so sides have tended to do that. They will release the man of the mark. They won't put pressure on the man of the mark. They'll get one back because effectively that guy's out of the play. So it's 18v17 for a period of time. So you'll see a lot of sides now, and especially over the first couple of games I've seen, they're not even manning the mark at all. So they're getting more numbers behind the ball. So, it's going to be a challenge, but I think sides are getting smarter at how to combat that as well.
So we had a couple of good hit-outs. Of the Geelong game was a really good hit-out. After the 4 quarters, we had the result there, and then the Hawks on the weekend, first half in particular, looked really good. You happy with what you saw in those 8 quarters?
Yeah, we got some good work, our players, and some good understanding what the areas that we're doing well, continually doing well, and some things that we need to get better at. The Hawthorn game was a funny one on the weekend. It always happens. We were probably up at 50 points at half time, and I was really strong in the fact we really wanted to continue going, but I think subconsciously the players are sitting there going, listen, we're up. We've probably got the game, sewn up, so we'll take a little bit off late, which is a little bit disappointing. I was a little bit angry, to be fair, at the end of the game, but we did a lot of things really well on the day, and the players will get some just reward on Wednesday when we come back.
Dimmer, there's been a few positional changes, and Noah Bolter going forward. How have you assessed Noah going forward, Liam Baker playing predominantly forward, and I guess probably Shane Edwards too?
What we sort of looked at is last year, obviously, we lost CJ and Marbs, one via trade, one to free agency. And, we've got Jack, who's more towards the end of his career than the start, Tommy Lynch, and then we probably have got a gap between those two and then our next forward down, which was Samson Ryan. So we thought, well, listen, touch wood, none of those guys get injured, but if one of those guys does, what have we got? And we thought, well, Noah can play back. We drafted a young kid in Josh Gibbs, we think is going to be a wonderful player down back also. Listen, let's train Noah up forward. So if we do need him when push comes to shove at game day or whatever it is, we've got a player that has trained that over the course of summer. So don't get me wrong, he's a very, very good back. But if we can find a very good forward out of Noah, that's a positive as well. And yeah, that's not to say that he'll play forward round one or for the majority of the year, but at the moment we like what he's doing up there. So there's a little bit of science to our madness, and we think after the game on the weekend, he was okay versus Geelong. He just didn't get a lot of licks of the ice cream as we speak, but he certainly got some just reward on the weekend.
And Bakes and Cheddar up front
as
well.
Bakes was a forward when he was drafted, wasn't he?
He's just
And
a
he
guy that can
started,
play anywhere.
yeah.
If we could have 3 more Bakes, we'd be laughing the same as Shane Edwards, but yeah, the one thing we wanted to get back is that forward half, ground ball get, pressure game, and those two players deliver that in spades. And, together with George, who's obviously Jason Castagna, who obviously is very good at that, and Shea up there as well. We think that part of our game is working very well over the 2 games that we've seen. So we've just got to hope we can keep those guys in those positions and maintain some consistency through the on-ball brigade. And, hopefully the ball stays in our front half more than not.
So is Dusty likely to spend more time midfield rather than forward now? Or?
I'd like to say I could say where Dusty's going to spend more time, but predominantly he puts himself where he needs to be.
Sure.
Look, we have played him in the 2 games more midfield just to get his minutes up and get his fitness back. He's come back in incredible shape. So look, we'll work our way through that, because obviously with the talls up forward, we're carrying 5 at the moment. Do we go with that? Do we look at 1 more less and play Dustin more forward? So these are the things we've got to work our way through prior to round 1 selection.
So down back, Dimmer, how's Robbie Tarrant fitted in, 1 to the club and 2 into the system? And how's Dylan Grimes' thumb?
Yeah, Dill, unfortunately, in his operation yesterday, so he is in doubt for round 1. I did shoot him a text just asking how he's feeling, just to make sure that he realised that we're not out of the round 1 calculation yet. But Robbie's he's been fantastic. He's an incredible guy. He's a big boy. I didn't realise how big he was. But it's funny. I spoke to him about my career when I got traded from Essendon to Port Adelaide. It took a couple of games to get to understand when you're in a system what that looks like, and I was a little bit disappointed with his Geelong game, but then I thought we saw on the weekend what he's going to add to us, and he'll get better again for the more games he plays. So he's just a big body that is got a great understanding of how to nullify leads, how to take away good opponents, and God, he can kick the ball too. It's a beautiful kick of the ball. So he's going to be a welcome addition to us.
He kills the ball a long way too. Like some of the spoils on the weekend, really gets it out of the area, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and that's something we feel has added the value with bringing in Robbie. He's, like I said, he's a big boy. Like he's 6'3", 6'4", and when he jumps, he's quite strong and powerful. And although I think he's 32 from memory, he barely played his first 3 to 4 years, so he hasn't got a lot of miles in him, which is great.
The other thing I'm loving at the moment, and I reckon last year it annoyed me a little bit as a Richmond person, no one ever mentioned Ivan Soldo. We had a lot of injuries, but Soldo's name never came up in the broader footy community. Just seeing him back, he looks big and strong. He's a real presence out there. Is that something he'll definitely go with most weeks, the 2 rucks?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny, as soon as you mention his name, I smile, because I'm the same. A lot of people are underrated his influence and the thing we haven't had Nank and Soldo in the same side for a lot of the time, but when we were playing our very best footy, they were both there. So look, we love what they bring. They're sort of yin and yang, if you know what I mean. We've got one taller, and then we've got Nank that just destroys everyone in his path. So we're really looking forward to that. And the good thing about it is they're both pushed forward at various stages and kick goals. Soldo should have had 2 free kick goals on the weekend. And
geez, they're good kicks for goal too, both of them.
The rucks?
The 2 of them are really good shots.
They are. Well, Nank especially, and Soldo, he looks a little bit uncanny, but he certainly gets the job done.
Soldo's like an Irishman, because he's probably learned how to kick late.
Scratch,
and they always kick straight.
They do. They hold the ball very straight. And they've done a wonderful job with our development coaches have about getting him to the level he is. And he's only 25, I think.
He wouldn't have even played 100 games all up of Australian rules football.
No, so he's been a wonderful addition. And like you said, he's like a first-round draft pick coming back this year.
What about a couple of the other experienced midfielders? I mean, Trent obviously relinquishes the captaincy, and to me, just watching his first few weeks, he looks like he's playing with a bit more freedom in his movement, but probably his mind as well, just not having the captaincy. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
No question. He's had the best pre-season since I've been at the club.
Right.
He's done more work than he's ever done before. He looks as fit as he's ever been. So I'm expecting him to have a very, very good year. And we started to see that, in the first half on the weekend. He's very clean, physical, powerful, all the things we love about Trent as a player. And like you said, he can just really concentrate on his own game. And I think when you get a little bit older, it probably lends itself a little bit more to that. You've got to concentrate harder on getting your body, right week in, week out. And he'll still have an enormous impact on our club or influence on our club, but he can step back about those day-to-day leadership issues that Dylan and Ankle now take over.
Yeah, and how do you see the appointment of those two as the co-captains?
Yeah, it's great. You couldn't probably... we just couldn't separate them. We obviously went in with the ideal of having one captain, but, the players vote and the footy department vote and the young and the old, they all sort of came together, and it was within one or two votes of one way or the other. So we sort of went away, I think, on a Saturday and sort of thought about it, and then we started to come to the idea because we were sort of being stuck in the old or tradition of one captain, and then all of a sudden we said, well, listen, we've got two guys that are thoroughly deserving, and their peers have picked it. So that's the way we went. But once again, they complement each other so well. Dylan's accomplished in certain areas, and then Nank brings a certain offset to that as well, and we're really excited about what the two boys are going to bring individually and collectively.
From a coaching perspective, Dimmer, how has David Teague settled in? And I think one thing I've noticed especially is our connection inside 50 has been a lot better over this pre-season than probably last year. I know we'll try and probably implement a few things last year, they just didn't come off, but how's Teague settled in?
Yeah, really well. He's a great coach. He got a great understanding of the game, got a great teaching philosophy, the way he goes about it. So he's fitted in seamlessly.
Yeah.
He's brought some things to our club, and he's improved some things that we looked at already. And like you said, he's in charge of our offence, so he's got a great understanding of about. First of all, he sort of understand what we were trying to do, but then build on the things that we were doing. We weren't going to have catastrophic change. We moved the ball really well from the back half to the front half. I think we've been number 1 or 2 over the last 3 to 4 years. But like you said, our connection inside 50 has been a little bit up and down, so we're doing some work on that, and we've started to see, a lot of improvement in that area. It is early, so once again we expect that to continue to improve, but we like what we've seen thus far. But he's been a fantastic addition to our footy club.
How have the new draftees settled in?
Yeah, really well. They're really exciting, this batch. It's not often you have a successful period as we have, and then you can bring in 5 kids under 30 picks, which is really exciting. And Josh Gibcus is a player we think will be thereabouts for round 1 selection, and a second pick in Young Brown. He probably would have been not too far behind, but he had a COVID issue, I think. Did he have? I'm trying to think. Oh, the intra-club he didn't play, but then he played the Geelong game. He played really well at VFL level again. And our third pick was Sonzi. What I love about this kid is he just found it 27 times on the weekend. He's got some work to do on his fitness, but the one thing you can't teach a player is how to win the ball, and he does it. So we can all the other stuff we can work on. Judson Clark's a young Kane Lambert that we really, really enjoy. He's going to be a little bit of a slower burn. He's obviously young in stature, but he's going to be an incredible player, I think, over a period of time. Great running capacity, understands the game really well, sleeps with the footy, which is always a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's young Sam Banks, who I love Banks. He's another Tassie boy, obviously, but he's been a little bit unfortunate. He's missed a lot of footy with injury, but he's got talent, this kid. He once again will be a little bit slower, but he's just starting to join in full training now, and we look forward to seeing what he brings. But they're very, very exciting, all these young kids, which is great.
Just before, Manfred probably wants to ask about the VFL program, which would be great to be back. But Ralph Smith on the weekend, he looked to me like he's settled into senior footy now. He looked the part out there. Is he a smoky for round 1?
I think so. We're excited by this lad. We love what he brings athletically. He's just had to grow into himself a little bit and, develop. But once again, those sort of kids that we've drafted over the last 2 years have really lacked development in a lot of the aspects of the game that we feel that they needed to improve in. And, that's the great thing about being a train and play now this year, and we're really excited about what he offers. He's got a great athletic profile to play the game. Kicks the ball. He's actually kicking has been a little bit off this year. He's normally been a lot better kick, but that was better on the weekend. But we really like his ability to impact in the air as well, and he covers the ground incredibly well. So we think he's going to have a really good year for us. So he'll be thereabouts for round one, which is exciting.
You go.
Just talking on the challenges, Dimmer, about 2020 and 2021 without having that VFL program and development and week-on-week type, minutes to getting into the players. If you strip it right back, you even go back to 2017, 2016, you got Dan Butler, Jason Castagna, Jacob Townsend, these type of guys, and Ivan Soldo developing at the lower level, but then come in and have a real impact the year after. So how much of an impact has that had on our development over the last 2 years?
Oh, it's had an enormous impact. One, the fundamentals that we spoke about previously, they just don't get the opportunity to practice their craft and also understanding the system. We look at our injury rates, especially last year, was quite significant we lost whole lines at various stages with our mids and our backs, but because the guys weren't playing consistently, they didn't have the training and understanding of, one, the fundamentals of what we were after, but secondly, the style of game we wanted from that line, and that's where we fell down a little bit. But, we've had a really good pre-season this year, and the guys have got a great understanding of what that looks like. And, we were fortunate enough to have the VFL boys playing our intra-club, and it's amazing some of the talent we've got down there. And I sort of thought, can we hide these boys anywhere? Because some other clubs are going to pick them up along the way, which makes me a bit flat. But they look really good. Got a good understanding of what we're trying to do as well.
Yeah, that's good. What about, Dimmer, an update on Jack Graham and Kane Lambert?
Yeah, Jack. Kane's got a chronic hip that takes a little bit of time. We're just working our way through that at the moment. He's had some surgical opinions. We're not too sure where that's at, but and we're not quite sure where he's at the moment and where that looks like. He'll probably he obviously will be out of the early games, but we're not exactly sure. And Jack Graham's probably touch and go for round one. I'm trying to push our guys a little bit harder on that. But he'll definitely be available for round two. But I was just speaking to him before I came in here, actually. So just get through Thursday and we'll see how we go. Because he's just a player that, his running capacity is just a really good player that we want to have in the side. But we've also got to understand, we want him to be in the side for round two onwards. We don't want to push him too early so he gets re-injured and goes from there. He hasn't had the greatest pre-season from an injury point of view, so we've just got to make sure we get him right.
Well, touch wood when I say this, because I don't know. Dion Prestia, won the BNF obviously in 2019, outstanding season, and since then it's really been up and back with injury. You must just be really touching wood that he has a full season. He's so important, isn't he?
Oh, he's an incredible player, and those sort of players like Dion that we call them transition mids. They can go up and back, and if he played small patches last year and the year previous. I think he came back in for the back end of the finals, but on average he would have won our last two BNFs as well as the one that he won in that previously. If he played every week. Played every week. So that's how important he is, and he's had a great pre-season once again, as good a pre-season we've had. We've got him to the line now, which is really important. We've just got to make sure we keep him going because, as you said, he's a very, very important player, and those sort of players don't grow on trees that can play, transition from offense to defence as good as he can.
And the elder statesman up forward, Jack Riewoldt,
he's looking fairly
sharp, isn't he?
He did. He cuts his angles well, Jack. He knows exactly where the ball's going, so... Yeah, he's good. Tassie, I always get worried when he goes down to Tassie because it's all of a sudden, and he's got better at this. Every time it's like that, he sort of starts to gravitate towards a goal square. But he was pretty good on the weekend. He he played really well, and looks very sharp at the moment. Yep. He had we allowed him to have a longer break down in Tassie because of the COVID issues, and he's come back in really good nick, which is important. And he's one of those guys. He's smart. He understands that as you get older, you're probably going to lose a little bit of weight to keep your athleticism and endurance aspects of his game. So he looks really good at the minute.
So Dimmer, as we sit here, we're 9 days off, heading back over the road here to the MCG, and the AFL came to a meeting at Channel 7 yesterday, and they're saying 85,000 it looks like. How much does that mean for this club? Because we just play better at the G and with the Army there, don't we? Like, it's just automatic.
No question. It's funny, and you sort of don't realise what you've got till it's taken away,
right.
and you sort of sit there. And the games we've played with no crowd, our players do. They don't play as well. I don't know what it is. There's something inside certain guys that gets them up. Like you think about all the great players like Dustin Martin and that. When the crowd is there and the involvement there, he feeds off the energy of the Tiger Army.
Jack's the same.
Exactly. And there's no question it makes for a better game, better atmosphere, obviously. But I've got no doubt in my mind that the players certainly lift as a result of it as well.
They were used to playing in front of big crowds regularly. Then they're gone. It has to have an effect.
It does. And you can sustain it for a certain period of time, but then you sort of think, why are we playing? We want our fans here and we want to hear them and yell and scream. And it makes footy. That's what we love about it. And, 85,000 I think is a bit conservative. I'm probably sure there'll be a few
probably
more there.
Be more.
Yeah, absolutely there'll be more. I can't wait.
No, well, you sound very excited. You're the elder statesman of the competition now, coaching-wise, so you're the longest-serving coach.
Is that right?
First time Richmond's had the longest-serving coach in the competition.
Is that right?
But you sound very, very enthusiastic.
I am. It's been a good break and... we've got some young guys that are pushing and, older players have come back in incredible shape. So we've just got to, once again, the outcome will take care of it itself if we get our process right. And we think if our process is right more than it's not, we're going to give ourselves a good shot. So we're looking forward to that challenge of round 1 versus the Blues. They're playing pretty well.
Yeah, they look good, don't they? They look good the other night. Now, I sent out a tweet yesterday. I noticed you've started to do a little bit of work on Twitter.
He's more prevalent than he used to be.
It's a swamp, Dimmer. I wouldn't...
it's a good
just
point.
Be careful. Just be very careful. But I've sent out a tweet yesterday, Manfred, to our supporters, and we got a few questions from a couple of our listeners.
Yeah, we'll go with the first one from Justin Birchelate. He runs a book club on personal development and personal and professional development. So what are you reading at the moment, Dimmer?
Oh, geez, I'm a bit of a shocker with this. I've got about 3 or 4 books that I read at various stages. So what am I reading at the moment? There's a Bill Belichick book that has come out, I think, on the New York Times bestseller. There's Win the Day. There's 2 others that I'm going through at the moment. Which, for the life of me, I can't remember.
Sporting books.
Sporting and just self-help books as well, which is good. But I sort of like the idea of, we ask our players to improve, and it's the one thing I sort of do a fair bit of is do try to read as much as I can because it's amazing what you can pick up just from, other great coaches or other great people through business or self-help as well. So they're probably the 3 or 4 that I'm reading at the moment.
Thank you, Dimmer. Another one from Ando. Sydney Stack is a player that the Tiger Army has real interest in. I noticed on the weekend he probably had a bit of a change in role, played probably more wing than he has been in the past. Where do you see where Stacky's at the moment, and what role do you see him kind of fulfilling at senior level?
Yeah, it's a good question. He's probably one of those players that, as a coaching staff, we love what he can do. We've just got to get him to the required fitness levels at the moment, which, he's not too far away, but we just feel that he can, he's got more ability than probably 90% players of the AFL. He's just got to get to the stage where he can play that consistent footy that we know he can for the season. So, look, the half-forward line, I think, excites us. He can do some things that other people can't, as we've spoken about, and we like those guys that can win the hard ball and then chase and tackle at the same time. And we put him on the wing on the weekend just to give him a little bit of freedom and see what that looked like. And I think he grew into the role. I think the second half, our coaches said he was a bit better with that, got a greater understanding, but we threw him in there cold turkey, really, so I didn't have an idea of sort of what we're after, but then he grew into the role, which is a positive for us.
Another one from Simon Wallace. We kind of touched on the things that Simon asked about, but one thing he did ask was you played against both of them, who was the tougher Gale brother?
Well, hang on. One played with the perm. One played with the perm, so I think it's fairly obvious.
He was strutting around down in Devonport too, wasn't he, the Chief?
I'll give you an example of the toughness of the Chief. We had our camp up at Bright.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the Chief came up with young Donnie, which is always great. And anyway, so the tents are all set up in this beautiful environment in a nice grassy meadow and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, so the Chief rocks in his Merc or whatever he's driving at the moment, and I don't know what it was, but anyway, there's a little bit of a chat, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, where are my keys?" Chief, you're staying in the tents like the rest of it. Yeah, there's a sense of toughness. Anyway, that wasn't worse. The worst thing about it, he went back to his car and then drove to his tent. He couldn't walk the 25 metres to go to the tent.
You know, I'd like
This
to,
is our hardened leader. This
no.
is fish rots from the head, I'm telling you.
I'd like to say I'm surprised to hear that.
Nothing
I'm not.
surprises us.
He is
Where are my
outrageous.
keys? Unbelievable.
And he wouldn't have had the PowerPoint there for the hairdryer either, so that would have disappointed.
How did the hair go and the humidity down at
Oh, no,
Devonport?
frizzed up a bit.
frizzed
Don't
up.
worry about that. Oh, he's funny. He gives us a bit of entertainment.
Oh, he's a
He
great
does
man.
indeed.
Yeah.
He's a very
Well,
great
Dimmer,
man.
thanks for giving us your time today. I know it's close to round one. You're a busy man, but we finally got you on Talking Tigers, and we appreciate that, mate.
No, been a pleasure. It's been enjoyable. Always good to speak to the Tiger Army. We can't wait to see them there come round one, which is very exciting. And 9 sleeps away?
Yeah, nine sleeps.
Beautiful.
Now, I don't know if you know, but at the end of every show, we've done 306 podcasts now. Tone has done some dad gags at the every single one.
Yeah, every
So that's
half a dozen.
That's
gags
about
normally.
1,500 dad gags,
Yeah.
and he repeats
It's going
himself
to be turned into a
occasionally.
book, you see, at some stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of post-it notes.
So,
yeah. Okay,
Green's
here we
gags.
go.
Well, hang on, we've got to play your sting
I know,
first.
I know.
It's no Guns N' Roses.
That's what he listens
That's the
to.
Three Stooges. You ever watched the Three Stooges?
Yeah, when I was 8.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, my, yeah, but you've got to let it go at some
Their
stage.
humour is sustainable.
Move
It's
forward.
sustainable.
Move
No.
forward, Greeners.
Stay trapped in a time warp.
He's in his own little
Much
bubble.
better. Anyway,
right, get into
why
it.
couldn't the pony sing in the choir?
Why?
Because he was a little horse. Now I went to the corner shop the other day. Yeah, I bought 4 corners. Now, just if they're listening to the person who stole my place in the queue, I'm after you now. Now, did you know that Dimmer, that Bruce Lee had an even faster brother? Yeah, suddenly. Now, I saw a 1,000-year-old stain the other day. A 1,000-year-old stain.
Yeah.
It was from Greece.
Yeah.
One more.
Last
One more. Okay.
Last one.
Why do the French eat snails? Because they don't like fast food.
Every show you get this.
Every
Every
show.
show.
Half a dozen.
God
But that
almighty.
300 shows, that's 1,500
There's a
dad gags.
couple of pretty good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you
some
can
good
use them,
ones.
use them in front of the
Penny
players.
likes
Yeah.
Don't think so.
Peggy likes them.
Yeah, she
She
does.
does.
Peggy
Peggy's
does.
a huge
Peggy
fan. Loves the gags.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for our first Talking Tigers of the season. It was great to have Damien Hardwick up here in the studio. Here's a bit of Mark Lanigan, one of my favourites, Dimmer, to take us out. Get involved with the show, Talking Tigers at richmondfc.com.au, and we'll be back next Tuesday to preview the Blues. Go Tigers!